Sarah Swanson.
It's going to be white.
There you go.
It's light work, period.
Roll Tide and welcome to TideTV this week. I'm Seth Payne, joined by Kira Goldstein. And Kira, a lot of exciting things happening for Alabama athletics this week.
Yeah, football, basketball, gymnastics. It's really never boring here at the Capstone.
Never boring here at the Capstone. Wasn't boring last week. The Alabama men's basketball schedule ranks as the toughest in the nation, with the Crimson Tide playing 3 teams ranked in the top 5, beginning this past Saturday with the reigning national champions, number 4 Baylor.
Yeah, Baylor has been one of the best teams in college basketball, and going into Saturday's matchup against the Tide, the Bears had won 36 straight non-conference matchups and won 18 consecutive non-conference matchups on the road.
Extremely impressive.
The Crimson Tide started the game off strong, jumping out to an 11-3 lead as the Alabama defense forced 4 Baylor turnovers in the opening 5 minutes and 49 seconds of action. The reigning national champions responded with a 16-6 run to retake the lead, but a 3-pointer from Javon Quinterly jump-started a 7-0 lead as Alabama held on to a 38-34 lead going into the break.
Alabama shot 50% from beyond the arc and knocked down 15 of 19 from the free throw line in the second half. Bama used a 14-2 run to take their largest lead of the game at 15 points. That run was capped off by a 3-pointer from Keon Ellis to give Alabama a 57-42 lead. Baylor would cut the lead to 5 at 65-60, but Javon Quinterly stepped up and drilled a shot from behind the arc to put Alabama back up by 8. The reigning national champs wouldn't go away quietly after a Kendall Brown dunk cut it to a 2-possession game at 81-75 with just under 2 minutes to play. J.D. Davison, with ice in his veins, drills a 3-pointer as the shot clock winds down to slam the door shut.
First off, it was the first official sellout of the year. That was huge. The crowd was unbelievable. Needed the energy from tonight. Thought our defense was a lot better. When we needed stops, they picked up the energy and the noise. It's fun. I mean, I told our guys before the game, we got to get back to having fun. This is why we started playing the game of basketball. When you were a kid, this is what we play for, show up in big-time games and have fun. So that was a fun environment. It's great to coach an environment like that. That was a lot of fun. So the game, I thought, our guys' energy was a lot better, way better than the last time we were out. So that was encouraging. I thought Quinterly and J.D. both made big turns since the Georgia game, and hopefully we can continue to keep them playing like that. I felt like they were back having fun, being themselves, playing hard, aggressive. I thought they both made big plays during a lot of the game for us.
The Crimson Tide had 5 score in double figures, led by Javon Quinterly with 20 and Jaden Shackelford with 19. Quinterly was 6 of 10 from the floor as he knocked down 3 of his 6 3-point shots and was a perfect 5 of 5 from the free throw line. To go along with his 19 points, Shaq added 9 rebounds.
In his return from missing 2 games due to a facial injury, Juwan Gary added 15 points off the bench as he shot 7 of 8 from the floor. J.D. Davison also had a strong game as he scored 14 points on 6 of 9 from the field and 2 of 4 beyond the arc. Keon Ellis was the Tide's the other double-digit scorer of the night, chipping in 11 points. And with wins over Gonzaga, Houston, and now the reigning national champion Baylor Bears, Alabama now owns wins over 3 of the 4 Final Four participants from last season. Alabama also has 5 wins over AP top 15 teams.
Some great wins for Alabama so far. It also marks the first time in program history Alabama has 2 wins over AP top 5 non-conference teams in the same season.
Yeah, a big win for the Crimson Tide as they began a stretch of 3 games against top 5 teams.
Let's take an all-access look at the Tide's 87-78 win over the 4th-ranked Baylor Bears.
Alabama's in the middle of arguably the toughest 3-game set for any team at any point in the country.
The energy, right? The attitude, the effort. We're bringing nothing but energy and effort. Fight for each other. Fight for me. Fight for each other tonight. We don't come out on top. Show the love we got as a team, right? They got to feel us. They got to feel Alabama tonight as a unit.
Alabama on its home floor controls.
This is over, goes left to the rack, hands it off, and Gary gets a plunge.
Whoa, make it inside. J.D. Davison.
Sit back, JQ, 3. Oh, he's hot right now, folks. Lays it up and in. What a move by JQ.
exactly doing that. Boy, Gary has had a huge impact. It's hard to hear yourself in here.
Down the lane. Lob, Gary. Exclamation point.
He just made a three, now penetrates. Oh, what a shot with a left hand for Javon Quinterly.
To Shaq, catch and shoot three. Foul as the shot clock expired.
Ellis. Oh, mark that down. Turnover. Davison with the dunk. And an exclamation point from J.D. Davison. A marquee victory for Alabama to go with the wins over Houston. And of course, Gonzaga, Baylor, 87-78.
Some blue-collar basketball, and as you just saw there, Jaden Shackelford won the hard hat for the most blue-collar points in that win over Baylor.
Yeah, Javon Quinterly also put on quite a show as he had a game-high 20 points, and this past week he was named a finalist for the award given to the top point guard in the country.
Pretty impressive play for Quinterly. He's one of 10 finalists for the Bob Cousy Award given to the top point guard in college basketball. Quinterly leads the team with 4.3 assists per game, in addition to ranking second in scoring at 14.6 points per game.
The 10 finalists will be narrowed to 5 in late February, and in March, the 5 finalists will be presented to Mr. Cousy and the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, where a winner will be selected.
Congratulations to Javon on that honor.
You know, Seth, it was an electric atmosphere in Coleman Coliseum on Saturday. And you know what we always want to hear after an Alabama game? Rammer Jammer.
Rammer Jammer, indeed. It was an amazing atmosphere and a great Rammer Jammer after the Tide's big upset win over number 4 Baylor. As we go to break, let's hear that Rammer Jammer one more time.
TideTV This Week is presented by Ford. For great offers on F-150, see your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
It's a done deal. 995. It's in. Alabama, the 2021 SEC champions.
I'm so proud of them. They have worked so hard. They have been fighters.
Come on now! Alabama raining down the threes.
The buzzer sounds. And Bama hangs on. Oh, my goodness.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. The Alabama men's basketball team, as we mentioned, has played the toughest schedule in the nation this season, and it got even tougher this past week as the Tide played 3 consecutive matchups against top 5 opponents.
Alabama won the first of those 3 on Saturday as Alabama upset the defending national champions 4th-ranked Baylor. 3 days later, the Tide took on number 1 Auburn down in the Plains in Auburn Arena. After a back-and-forth opening 5 minutes, Jaden Shackelford got the offense going, scoring 8 straight, including back-to-back threes, to put Alabama up 10-6 with 15:12 to go in the first half. Auburn retook the lead and used a 17-5 run to increase the Tigers' lead to its largest of the half at 44-26 with 3:24 to go. Alabama cut into the lead before intermission by going on an 11-7 run, but trailed by 14 at the half, 51-37.
Yeah, and Alabama came out firing in the second half on an 18-6 run, which cut the lead to just 2 at 57-55 with just over 14 minutes remaining. However, the Tigers answered with a 13-2 run of their own to stretch their lead to 13 at 70-57. Alabama would keep battling back, but in the end, the Tigers were the better team on the night as they defeat the Tide 100-81.
I mean, they're a good team. We got to be better than we were tonight in order to compete with them. They're good everywhere. They don't have many weak links. Front court kind of overwhelmed us a little bit. You know, thought some of our guards played well. You know, Shaq, when we got it going there in the second half, those guys competed hard, but we got to do a better job. We gave away too many points in transition. had us for 27 points. We gave up in transition, gave them 31 at the line, give up almost 60 points in transition at the free throw line. You're going to have a hard time winning games. So transition D's got to get better. Got to learn how to guard without fouling. And we got to get a little bit better. So they're better than we are right now. We're going to keep working and see if we can make some improvements before March.
Jaden Shackelford and Javon Quinterly accounted for 46 of Alabama's 81 points. Shackelford had a game-high 26 points, while Quinterly scored 20.
Noah Gurley was the Tide's only other double-digit scorer as he chipped in 11 points. Keon Ellis finished with 9 points and a team-high 8 rebounds.
And it doesn't get any easier for Alabama this weekend as they host number 5 Kentucky this Saturday in Coleman Coliseum. It will be their 3rd consecutive top 5 matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be big. Moving from the hardwood to the turf, Alabama football had signing day part 2 on Wednesday. We'll hear from Coach Saban on that, as well as the latest additions to the Tide's coaching staff when we return.
Tide TV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made.
They're headed to the Women's College World Series.
And the Alabama Crimson Tide are your SEC champions for the 6th time with a record-breaking run at the Rhodes House. And a perfect present for Montana Fouts and Alabama at the Women's College World Series.
I love how they have no fear. Man, it's all of them. Everybody's chasing Alabama.
Come on now! Alabama raining down the threes.
The buzzer sounds, and Bama hangs on. Oh, my goodness!
We don't have to be a football school or a basketball school. We just win championship.
The job's not finished. We're not done yet.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. I'm Seth Payne, joined by my co-host Kira Goldstein, and it was National Signing Day Part 2 on Wednesday, and Coach Saban and the staff added one more to their 2022 class.
Danny Lewis, the 6'4", 240, 3-star tight end from Westgate High School in New Iberia, Louisiana, chose Alabama over Florida, LSU, and Cincinnati. Lewis won the Most Outstanding Player Award for his performance in the Louisiana Class 4A state championship game, leading Westgate to its first ever state title with 7 catches for 179 yards and a touchdown. Lewis joins 23 signees from the early signing period. And Coach Saban also added a trio of players from the transfer portal: wide receiver Jermaine Burton from Georgia, running back Jahmyr Gibbs from Georgia Tech, and defensive back Eli Ricks from LSU. Those 3 guys are some experienced players that will certainly help fill some areas of need for the next season. Coach Saban also announced the addition of 3 new coaches to his coaching staff this week.
Coleman Hutzler, Travaris Robinson, and Eric Wolford were officially added to the Crimson Tide coaching staff on Wednesday. Hutzler will coordinate special teams and coach outside linebackers, while Robinson will coach the cornerbacks and Wolford will coach the offensive line.
So added 3 new coaches. Coleman Hutzler will be the special teams coach. He's a defensive coach, so he'll actually do the special teams from the defensive side of the ball. Travaris Robinson will be secondary coach here, coach cornerbacks, and Eric Wolford will be the offensive line coach. And all these guys have really good pedigree, really good background, really good experience. All these guys have been in the SEC at some point in time and know this league, and I think will make a really positive relationship, a positive effect by the relationships that they can build and develop, with our players on our team. So we're excited about having this new energy, this new enthusiasm to go along with the quality coaches that we have here in the program who did an outstanding job a year ago.
Some new coaches, new signees, a few transfers, and it won't be long until the Tide will be back out on the practice field for some spring practice.
Super exciting, Seth. After defeating the Auburn Tigers for the 2nd time this season, the Alabama women's basketball team returned to Coleman Coliseum on Sunday to take on another set of Tigers, this time the Tigers of Mizzou.
It was the 15th meeting between the two schools, and going into the matchup, the series was tied at 7 games apiece, with the Crimson Tide winning the last 3.
Megan Abrams got the Tide on the board first as she knocked down the first shot of the game on this three-pointer, but from there, Missouri outscored Alabama 18-10 to close the first period. The Tigers outscored the Tide in every period but the fourth. Alabama outscored Missouri 17-16 in the final 10 minutes of play, but it was too little too late as Missouri improved to 16-6 overall with the 77-61 victory over the Crimson Tide.
You know, the team that showed up in Auburn, Alabama a week ago wasn't the team that showed up today. So it's that consistency, it's that leadership in the locker room. I thought our staff did a really good job all week, and I really was taken back a little bit today with the effort and the approach that we took as a team. So we just have to continue to grow in each experience, learn from those, and move forward.
Alabama had 4 score in double figures, led by Jemiah Mingo-Young with 15 and Megan Abrams with 14.
Yeah, tough game for the Tide, but stay with us. The Alabama women's tennis team had a big weekend. We'll have that and more coming up next right here on TideTV This Week.
Williamson, look out downtown. Gone.
Throw there is not in time, and Alabama is a winner. Both teams had a chance to celebrate today, but it's Bama's that counts.
And the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Alabama is really playing with max effort.
I can't shoot no brick. 9:30 in the morning. Hustle like I ain't getting no portion. While you was dormant, let you sleep since that's so important. Practice my form, I done broke out of the no.
Hannah Barber
to the bench.
Taylor shot.
Welcome back to TideTV. The 9th-ranked Alabama gymnastics team traveled to Auburn to take on the 8th-ranked Tigers this past Friday night. It was the 4th consecutive meet this season that the Crimson Tide faced a team that was ranked higher than them.
The Crimson Tide opened the season on the road against number 3 Oklahoma and 2nd-ranked Florida before returning home to face number 9 Kentucky last week. And since 1980, against Auburn, Alabama is 129-2. Just 2 losses and 131 meets, Seth.
That's pretty remarkable, isn't it? Against the 8th-ranked Auburn on Friday night, Alabama started off on the uneven bars with a 49.125, led by Luisa Blanco's 3rd straight 9.925 on the season on the event. On vault, Shallon Olsen posted a season-best 9.9 in the leadoff spot to lead the Tide to a 49.025.
Alabama finished off its floor exercise rotation really strong, with Lexi Graber posting a 9.925 in the anchor position for a team total of 49.325. Alabama closed the meet with a 2nd highest balance beam total in its history, going 49.650. 5 Tide gymnasts scored a 9.9 or better on the beam, led by Luisa Blanco's near-perfect 9.975 in the anchor spot. Despite that great finish on the beam, it wouldn't be enough as Auburn held on for the victory, 197.525 to 197.125.
It's still a great performance from Alabama, and they are currently ranked 5th in the nation on balance beam, 7th on the uneven bars, and 14th on vault and floor, and the Tide remains in 9th all around in this week's rankings.
The Alabama women's tennis team opened the 2022 season with a home doubleheader sweep last weekend. Could the Tide do the same with their 2nd straight weekend doubleheader?
Tennis is playing great against UAB in the first match of Saturday's doubleheader. The Tide jumped on the Blazers early by winning the doubles point. Alabama then won 5 of the 6 singles matches for the 6-1 win over UAB.
In the 2nd and final match of Saturday's doubleheader, Alabama took on Chattanooga. The Mocs entered the matchup against the Tide undefeated at 2-0. For the 4th consecutive match this season, Alabama started the match off by winning the doubles point. The Tide then won 4 of the 6 singles matches against the Mocs for the 5-2 win.
Yeah, and that doubleheader sweep by Jenny Mine's squad improves Alabama's record to a perfect 4-0 mark to begin the season. Tide travels to New Orleans this weekend to take on Tulane.
The Alabama men's tennis team was in Starkville this past weekend as the Tide took on a couple of SEC teams in the ITA kickoff. The Tide dropped a couple of 4-0 matches to 11th-ranked Kentucky and also to Arkansas.
Yeah, George Cusack's squad will be in action here in Tuscaloosa on Saturday as Alabama hosts Memphis and UAB in a doubleheader.
Meanwhile, Patrick Murphy and the Alabama softball team are gearing up for the 2022 season.
Yeah, this past week, the coaches released their picks for the season, and the Crimson Tide led the way with 138 points and 7 first-place votes, just ahead of second-place Florida with 131 and third-place Arkansas with 124. Alabama has been the preseason SEC favorite in 3 straight years after winning the SEC regular season title in 2019 and the SEC tournament in 2021.
Very impressive. Alabama softball heads into the 2022 season ranked as high as second in the preseason national polls. The Crimson Tide is ranked number 2 in the NFCA USA softball and D1 softball polls and number 3 in Softball America's rankings.
Yeah, and after a great year last year, Alabama finished ranked number 3rd in every poll after making it to the semifinal round of the Women's College World Series.
We'll have our Players of the Week, a special feature celebrating our female student athletes, and more when we return in just 90 seconds.
They're headed to the Women's College World Series.
And the Alabama Crimson Tide are your SEC champions for the 6th time with a record-breaking run at the Rhodes House. And a perfect present for Montana Fouts and Alabama at the Women's College World Series.
I love how they have no fear. Man, it's all of them. Everybody's chasing Alabama.
Come on now! Alabama raining down the threes. The buzzer sounds, and Bama hangs on. Oh my goodness!
We don't have to be a football score or basketball score. We just win championship.
The job's not finished. We're not done yet.
Just such precision, such beautiful position she shows from start to finish.
Throws it into JD, back to Shaq, catch and shoot 3. As the shot clock expired. Ball batted away, taken away by Shaq, ahead to Keon, look out! Joe gives it off to Davison, going down the lane. Lob, Gary, exclamation point! Front court, to the rack, and the flush!
Welcome back to TideTV This Week. Those are our ATI Plays of the Week. Now let's take a look at our Players of the Week, brought to you by Legacy of Hope.
Yeah, and in the Tide's upset win over number 4 Baylor, Javon Quinterly had a game-high 20 points on 6 of 10 from the floor and 3 of 6 from beyond the arc and a perfect 5 of 5 on free throws. Quinterly added 2 rebounds, 2 steals, and 5 assists.
Jaden Shackelford scored 19 and had a game-high 9 rebounds in the Tide's win over Baylor. Shaq also had 5 assists and 3 steals as he knocked down 8 of 10 from the charity stripe.
And Juwan Gary returned from missing the last 2 games with a facial injury to finish with 15 points off the bench on 7 of 8 shooting from the field. Gary also had 3 offensive rebounds and a block in Alabama's win over the reigning national champs. Those were our Players of the Week, brought to you by Legacy of Hope.
Seth, the NFL Pro Bowl is this weekend, and there are several former Alabama players that will be in action on Sunday at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Rookie Mac Jones and rookie Najee Harris were selected to the AFC Pro Bowl team on offense, along with center Ryan Kelly.
Defensive lineman Jonathan Allen and cornerback Trayvon Diggs were selected to the NFC Pro Bowl team on defense. You can watch the Pro Bowl on Sunday at 2 o'clock Central on ESPN.
And this weekend, you also have a chance to watch a couple of Alabama players for the last time before they're drafted into the NFL. Running back Brian Robinson Jr. and defensive lineman Fedarian Mathis are at the Senior Bowl this week, displaying their skills for NFL teams. You can watch Brian and Fedarian in action on Saturday in Mobile or live on the NFL Network beginning at 1:30.
It's been a great week here at the Capstone, hasn't it, Seth?
Another great week. Tune in next week as we bring you more on the Crimson Tide and all access content of the Tide that you can't get anywhere else. See you next week, everybody, and roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
This has been a presentation from Learfield,